of rivers, and they have shaped the lives and the culture of the people.
Hello and welcome to Express News with me, Deepika, your daily half-an-hour window that brings you all the latest news and updates from across the world in 30 minutes. Let's begin. The upcoming 5th annual US-India 2+2 ministerial dialogue in India's national capital, New Delhi, kickstarts on the 10th of November and will be attended by the US Secretary of State Antony Blinken and Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin. The dialogue will take place amid ongoing international conflicts, which has a bearing on strategic dynamics and global outlook of both the nations. Arindam Bagchi, spokesperson for India's Ministry of External Affairs, during a weekly briefing on Thursday, stated that India is open to discussing various issues during the 2+2 dialogue, including topics like Israel and Canada, as raised by the media. India's President Draupadi Murmu, who is on a state visit to Uttarakhand, attended the 23rd Foundation Day celebrations of the state on Thursday, the last day of a 3-day visit to the northern state. India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has directed to release the third installment of One Rank, One Pension scheme. This will benefit the defence pensioners drawing pension before the Festival of Diwali. India's Home Minister Amit Shah will attend 62nd Foundation Day Parade ceremony for Indo-Tibetan Border Police as a chief guest on Friday. The event will take place at 23rd Corps Border Gate in Dehradun city. The World Health Organization has acknowledged India's success in declining tuberculosis by 16% and mortality reduction by 18% in the year 2022 since 2015. A border security force official was injured in the cross-border firing in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. As per the border security force, Pakistani Rangers resorted to unprovoked firing late Wednesday night in Ramgarh and Arnia sectors. A terrorist was neutralized in South Kashmir's Shopian district. Incriminating materials including arms and ammunition were recovered from the encounter site. Indian Navy's mobile training team of Marine Commandos have commenced the 14th edition of Special Forces and Diving Refresher Camp for the Mauritius Police Force at Port Louis. The training camp is conducted annually to enhance the capability of commandos to undertake maritime special operations and salvage operations in the sea. Indian University Grants Commission has announced regulations for establishment and operation of campuses by foreign universities in India. According to the regulations, foreign universities can collaborate to set up campuses in India, provided they meet eligibility criteria individually. The chairperson of National Human Rights Commission, Justice Arun Mishra, addressed the 14th International Conference of National Human Rights Institution at Copenhagen in Denmark. Justice Mishra stressed on greater cooperation to make societies more humane and civil to eradicate the menace of torture. In the Indian state of Jammu and Kashmir, the local police in Baramulla area has established a police public library to promote and support educational activities. The air quality in New Delhi continues to remain in severe category as per the Central Pollution Control Board. The AQI stood at 450 in the early hours of Thursday. Authorities are also exploring the option to make artificial rain through cloud seeding for the first time in the city to tackle the rising pollution. In the financial capital of India, Mumbai, Chief Minister Eknath Shinde chaired a review meeting on Thursday to discuss the prevailing pollution in the city and state of Maharashtra. The General Commanding Officer of the Fire and Fury Corps felicitated soldiers in Ladakh for maintaining highest standards of operational effectiveness under challenging conditions. After 2 days of flat closing, the Indian share markets ended on a negative note amid volatility on Thursday, with Sensex falling 143.41 points to 64,832.2. Nifty was down 48.2 points to close at 19,395.3. The Indian rupee rose 1 paise to close at 83.29 against the US dollar. Coal future maturing on the 5th of December stood at 59,828 rupees per 10 grams on Multi-Commodity Exchange of India Limited. Silver futures maturing on the 5th of December stood at 70,541 rupees per kilogram on the MCX. Brent crude was trading at $80.08 per barrel on Thursday, marking a small recovery from the previous session amid global demand concerns. US stocks closed with minimal changes on Wednesday as investors analyzed Federal Reserve officials' remark for insight on future interest rates. The S&P 500 rose 0.1%, reaching 4,382.78 points, and the Nasdaq Composite gained 0.08%, ending at 13,650.41. Meta has introduced a new policy to grapple with effects of artificial intelligence on political advertising. Meta said if artificial intelligence was used to alter an ad in a way that can mislead people, the content will not be allowed. In Gaza, civilians fled from their homes carrying what little of their belongings they could in their hands as evacuation hours were extended. Israel launched a ground offensive operation against Hamas's terror on the edges of Al-Shati refugee camp in northern Gaza, forcing its residents to relocate to south on Wednesday. Israeli forces and Hamas militants appear to be battling at close range in Gaza City as thousands of civilians fled south on Wednesday to avoid being trapped in the heart of the conflict. Israel's military spokesperson Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari said that Hamas is losing its grip from northern Gaza as residents flee to the south. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has dismissed false rumors after reports that a proposal to release 12 hostages in exchange for a 3-day humanitarian pause is under discussion. Netanyahu reiterated that there will be no ceasefire without the release of hostages. He also issued a rare condemnation of West Bank settler violence. French President Emmanuel Macron said on Thursday that there must be a humanitarian pause very quickly in Gaza and that countries must also work for a ceasefire. The Israeli Defense Forces opened an evacuation corridor in Gaza for people fleeing the north of the territory between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. local time on Thursday. The Israel Defense Forces have claimed that it destroyed 130 Hamas tunnel shafts since the start of the war as Israel continues the expansion of its ground operation in Gaza. Israeli troops and Hamas were locked in heavy, close quarters fighting in Gaza City on Thursday. Israel-Hamas battled for 10 hours in which the IDF claims it toppled one of Hamas's strongholds. Russian President Vladimir Putin has arrived in Kazakhstan in his third international visit in this year. The trip comes just days after French President Emmanuel Macron visited the country. The White House said over 80 humanitarian trucks have entered Gaza in the past 24 hours, and roughly 500 to 600 Americans have yet to get out of the enclave. A convoy carrying emergency medical supplies and medicine have reached the Al-Shifa hospital in Gaza City. The convoy is also expected the second delivery of vital aid to the hospital since the conflict between Hamas and Israel escalated. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg said that NATO allies support humanitarian pauses in the conflict between Israel and Hamas to allow aid to come in. Britain's King Charles hosted a reception at Buckingham Palace in London, marking 60 years since the establishment of aid organisation, the Disaster Emergencies Committee. For the third time, Donald Trump's rivals for the Republican presidential nomination took to the debate stage on Wednesday, seeking a way to dislodge the former president from his commanding lead in opinion polls. Contenders such as Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley briefly criticized Donald Trump. The 5 candidates largely trained their fire on Democratic President Joe Biden. The Republicans all pledged unconditional support for Israel and assailed Biden's handling of the Israel-Hamas conflict. U.S. Democrats have scored significant victories in state elections, giving a big boost to U.S. President Joe Biden. A Russian missile damaged a Liberia-flagged civilian vessel entering a Black Sea port in Odessa region, killing 1 and injuring 4 people. After pulling out of the UN-brokered deal that guaranteed safe shipments of Ukrainian grain via the Black Sea, Russia has been repeatedly attacking Ukrainian port infrastructure in recent days. 5 people were killed on Thursday in a missile strike by Ukraine's armed forces on the town of Skatovsk in the Russian-controlled part of Ukraine's Kherson region. Hollywood actors reached a tentative agreement with major studios on Wednesday to resolve the second of 2 strikes that rocked the entertainment industry as writers and performers demanded higher pay in the streaming TV era. This year is said to be the world's warmest in 125,000 years, European Union scientists said on Wednesday, after data showed last month was the hottest October on record by a massive margin. Heavy rainfall in the southern Indian city of Madurai in Tamil Nadu has left several parts of the region waterlogged. In view of the downpour, authorities declared a holiday for schools. At least 5 neighborhoods were left underwater, while some 35,000 people were affected by heavy rains caused by the El Nino weather phenomena in South American country Paraguay. 29 people have been killed by the worst flooding to hit East African country Somalia in decades. More than 300,000 have been forced to flee their homes. Unseasonal blizzards brought on by powerful icy winds have hit cities in China's northeast. Heavy snowfall has disrupted 14 high-speed train services as well in China's Yilin province. Igniter, the biggest startup festival in the Indian state of Jammu and Kashmir, was launched by the University of Jammu. Facebook parent Meta has announced a new policy that would require advertisers to disclose when they use artificial intelligence to alter content in political ads. Starting next year, advertisers will have to disclose if these ads show events that did not take place. Any misleading AI content will not be allowed. Authorities are rolling out a trial on electric public minibuses in Hong Kong. Charging spots are set to be installed in public transport interchanges in Kwun Tong and Kowloon Tong districts. According to a poll from Outlook Traveler magazine, Vietnam's Hanoi, Da Nang and Ho Chi Minh City have been listed among the top 10 fastest growing destinations for digital nomads, people who work remotely while traveling. Czech startup BinMeat Technologies has become the first to win European Union approval for laboratory-grown meat for use in pet food. The Czech firm plans to test how the product tastes to the animals while scaling up production as its current Prague lab up to several metric tons per day next year. Some 17,000 petroleum retail stores across Vietnam are integrating a modern customer service system using artificial intelligence. Indonesia has inaugurated a 192-megawatt peak floating solar power plant in a reservoir in West Java province, the largest in Southeast Asia. The $108.7 million power plant project, which is the third largest floating solar plant in the world, was launched as part of a drive to increase renewable energy sources and switch away from coal. Indian Festival of Diwali was celebrated in a grand event in the Etisalat Academy in the capital of UAE, Dubai. The Deepavali Utsav event drew an unprecedented crowd of 10,000 attendees. In the Indian state of Jammu and Kashmir, the local police in Baramulla area has established a police public library to promote and support educational activities for the students. Bolivians decorated skulls and had them blessed as part of Day of the Dead celebrations. The tradition, a blend of Catholic and indigenous beliefs, is often practiced by indigenous groups. Known as the Day of Skulls, La Paz's cemetery was filled with natitas, or skulls decorated with flowers, sunglasses, hat cigars and Bolivian iconic coca leaves. 30 members of the El Dadili Choir sang songs from the fantasy literature, games and films to life to audiences in Sweden dressed as Elvis, adventurers and warriors during Stockholm's Comic-Con event. The American Museum of Natural History in New York is showcasing life-size models of woolly mammoths, African savanna elephants and dwarf elephants. The exhibit, titled The Secret World of Elephants, reveals how elephants here cool their bodies and also use their trunks for various purposes, and will be on display for about a year and a half. Netflix has unveiled the $70 million restoration of the Egyptian Theatre, a historic movie house that hosted Hollywood's first film premiere a century ago, back in the year 1922. Netflix will hold premieres of its films and other special events at the theatre on weekdays, starting with the screening of David Fincher's latest film called The Killer today. Pablo Picasso's 1932 painting Femme à la Montre has been sold for $139 million at Sotheby's New York auction, making it the most valuable work of art sold globally at an auction this year. Hollywood actors have resolved the second of two strikes as workers demanded higher pay in the streaming TV era. Hollywood actors were seen rejoicing as the 118-day strike came to a close in Los Angeles. Lainey Wilson, the country music sensation, achieved significant success at the Country Music Awards held on Wednesday, clinching 5 awards, including the prestigious Entertainer of the Year honor. In a recent interview, Francis Lawrence, the director of The Hunger Games, the Ballet of Songbirds and Snakes, unveiled that the decision to feature the villain as the central character presented a significant creative challenge. Actor Zac Efron shared his sentiments regarding the late Friends star Matthew Perry. At the premiere of his latest film, he said he would be honored to play him in a biopic. Sony Pictures has released the first teaser for the upcoming Ghostbusters sequel, revealing the title Ghostbusters: Frozen Empire. The Netflix film The Archies released its trailer today, marking the debut of Bollywood star kids Suhana Khan, Agastya Nanda and Khushi Kapoor in the Bollywood industry. Indian movie Stree will hit screens on the 10th of May. Starring Rajkumar Rao, Alaya F., the movie was previously set for a September the 15th release. Indian actor Pankaj Tripathi unveiled the first look from his film Kadak Singh. The drama film is set for a direct-to-digital or D2D release on ZEE5. Following the teaser release in the month of July, the trailer for Salar Part 1 Ceasefire, starring Prabhas, will be released on the 1st of December. Moving on to sports now. India's 37th National Games came to a conclusion on Thursday in Goa. The closing ceremony was held in Panaji. Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar, Indian Olympic Association's President P.T. Usha were among the hosts of dignitaries who attended the closing ceremony. Maharashtra dominated the medals tally as it bagged a total number of 228 medals, followed by the Services Sports Control Board, and the third position was grabbed by Haryana. England ended its 5-match losing streak as they defeated the Netherlands by 160 runs in Pune. Ben Stokes slammed a century while David Malan scored 87. England have kept its hope alive for the Champions Trophy berth. Champions Trophy will be held in Pakistan next year, in 2025 rather. Australian women cricketer Meg Lanning has retired from the international cricket after representing her country for 13 years. The 31-year-old top-order batter won 7 world titles as well as Commonwealth Games gold medal. The Indian compound women's and mixed team won gold medals at the Asian Archery Championship in Bangkok on Thursday. Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Inter Milan and Real Sociedad all qualified for the last 16 of the Champions League. Real Madrid cruised past Sporting Braga. And Manchester United gave up a 2-goal lead and ended up losing by 4-3 to Copenhagen in their Champions League group stage encounter. And with this, it's a wrap here on Express News for now, but news and updates will continue here on DD India. So don't go anywhere. Keep watching and keep tracking DD India for all latest news and updates from the country and the world. Thank you so much for joining us right now.